Okay, well, I'm sure by now everyone's heard of SOPA. I haven't really talked about it much because I didn't think I'd be adding a whole lot to the conversation because pretty much everyone and their grandma has made at least one video about this. And I know some people do it anyway because they seem to think it's somehow their civic duty to make one, even if they have as few as 7 subscribers for whatever reason. Um, and that's okay. I just didn't really think it was really worthy of me putting in a video on it for the reason that everyone else has. But something new has come into light recently, and it's something I want to talk to you guys about. First of all, there seems to be this general consensus that the people who want soap only care about power. It's got nothing to do with anything else. Not necessarily the case. There are people who do want to protect their intellectual property, which, contrary to what you like to think, does exist. If I wrote something, if I made something, if I created something, it is mine. It is not yours to do with as you please, to use as you please, and to even make money off of as you please, unless I give you permission. Um, that's why we have patents. That's why we have copyrights. Um, and honestly, the whole people running around screaming piracy helps these companies, even though companies are indeed going bankrupt because of piracy, didn't really help the issue either. Seriously, I don't know what the heck the kind of logic behind that thinking is. But when people can get something for free, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to run out and buy it just because they wound up liking it. I mean, if I could see, people say, "Oh, like movies." It's like maybe movies, maybe theatrical, because that's a $5 ticket in some cases. Other cases, it's not. It's a $20 ticket, and no one's going to pay to see that. If they can see it for free. Um, Same with the game, especially people pirating entire games, saying that it's going to help the gaming industry. No, if I got an entire game for free, I'm not going to go out and buy it for $60 just because, hey, I really like this game. No, I'll just keep playing it. That's especially in this economy. People cannot afford to, go ahead and download something and then go out and buy it, even though they've already got it for free. So I really don't buy that argument, and frankly, it's an invalid argument. There's no statistics showing that. Um, But that's beside the point. The point is, people want to protect their property. Now, in some cases, it is about power. I'm not going to lie. The government specifically has a very vested interest in having this kind of power. But in terms of the people who want it because of their property, yes, they actually do want it because of their property. That being said, at the same time, some of them want power too because, yes, it is nice to be able to shut anyone down who touches your stuff. And, it's a power trip, partially. I'm not going to lie. I'm just saying that's not the sole motivation. Um, But as people know, it pretty much SOPA pretty much gives the government the power to go ahead and shut down the websites um, that contain copyrighted material or material that they feel is copyright infringing, and they can just shut it down, completely black it out. You'll be doing jail time, paying fines, etc., so on and so forth. Um, Though again, I can sort of understand why that would be an interesting idea because people who do that do need to be punished in a way. But the problem is the bill, first of all, gives the government the authority to shut down a website. Now, see, that I don't like because I don't know. Shut down a website just kind of grates on me, especially with the government having that kind of power. But the thing that really gets you is that they don't really fully define what copyright infringing material or piracy is. I mean, there's also fair use. Does that come into play at all? Is the entire Copyright Act of 1976 completely null and void now? It's pretty vague. Honestly, though, if SOPA ever did pass, I don't think it would live through the Supreme Court, but mm, it's one of those things that does have you worried. Now, I've also seen people claim that this is entirely a partisan thing and it's pretty much one party who's wanting this kind of power, blah, blah, blah. It's a bipartisan thing, and I've got a link that I'm going to put in the description about that because that's something that it's really a pet peeve. There are known people who support it from both parties, and they're certainly not in any way, shape, or form ideologically aligned. So, a lot of it does have to do with money and financial backing. Hollywood, which I don't want to go into politics too much here, but Hollywood, I think we can agree, does have, whether you agree with it or not, a traditionally liberal slant. Um, and they pretty much broke rank here and said pretty much anyone who supports SOPA, uh, they're gonna get something back from them, financially speaking. Which is why you got people on both sides. They figure, hey, I can use that money, and it's not really so bad protecting copyright. So there you go. The problem is, again, it doesn't fully define what copyright infringement is, what's copyrighted, what's not. Are there degrees of punishment, or is it going to be across the board? Just you're gone. It's just way too vague and way too big, and I don't like the government having this kind of power. That being said, I also believe that people who do infringe on other people's copyrights should be punished. Fair use. If it's outside the realm of fair use, yeah, sure. Fair use, however, does exist, contrary to what some people keep trying to foster upon me lately. Fair use does exist, and, we have rights. So, how do you find a way that's going to clearly define and protect people's rights, and at the same time go after the people who do break the law? Well, this is where the Open Act comes in. Now, you're going to have to forgive me, I'm going to be doing a little bit of reading here. The Open Act, which stands for Online Protection and Enforcement of Digital Trade Act. The last EN comes from enforcement, so because frankly, it would look kind of weird otherwise. Well, anyways, what this act does is it would create an internet piracy panel, or sort of a court, basically, within the International Trade Commission that would allow complaint or that would deal with complaints from the Justice Department and rights holders. Meaning basically that if they have a complaint, they take it before this panel, which is going to be part of the international keywords, international, like the internet itself is, international trade commission. And what they're going to do then is they're going to look over it. They're going to look at the rules and the regulations. They're going to be completely lined out, whether or not this is in fact, a violation or not. The ITC would investigate complaints, copyright holders, and determine if the websites in dispute are dedicated to infringing activity. If they find this to be the case, they can issue a cease and desist order. Justice Department would then be able to bring an action for injunctive relief. Okay, so basically that means that they find that you're in violation, they send a cease and desist order, and the Justice Department then steps in to enforce the law, which would be the Justice Department, I'm guessing, if similar things pass, I'm guessing it would be the Justice Department of whichever nation this website is hosted in. Okay, here we go. The Internet Piracy Court would be composed of judges appointed by the ITC who would be required to have a minimum of 7 years of legal experience, who could only be removed from that position for good cause. So, they're going to be judges, they're going to be appointed, they have to have at least 7 years experience. They can only be removed for good cause if they're caught violating their powers, so you don't have to worry about, which administration is going to put in what judge, because, it's kind of like a Supreme Court appointment, I guess. Okay, there are groups that do oppose this. Apparently, the RIAA and the MPAA really, really don't like it, I guess. They really did want the power to shut people down. But there's a website. It's called keepthewebopen.com, and I'm going to link you guys to this, because this website is, I'm looking at it right now, and it is awesome. It's got the homepage, which has the full text of the bill so far. It's a work in progress, still in the draft. It's still in the draft process, and this is why they've got it up on the website. On this website, they've actually got a section right next to the bill, right next to the text of the bill. You can participate in this. This is extremely unique. You can actually read through the text of the bill, and they invite people to do so. Actual internet users, basically, and IP experts are writing this bill. and actual IP experts are going to be appointed to look over whether or not something is an IP violation. And what's going to happen is they're looking. You can look through the text of this bill, and if you see something that you don't like, or that worries you, or that you think is too vague, you can put in a suggestion to edit it, or add this, or remove this. And if it's approved, it'll go into the bill. This is something that you don't see a lot. It's actually pretty unique. And I'd really encourage people to take a look at this, because this could be exactly what gets rid of SOPA, but still gets people what they, what it is that they, need to protect their copyright. It's also got the full text of SOPA on here too. It's got a comparison as to what the two do to against each other too. It also specifically excludes social media sites and legitimate websites, so that's very good. It's interesting because I don't know. It's just interesting that more people aren't talking about it, I guess. But I'm hoping this will maybe spark some discussion among some people. I'm reading through it so far. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing too much of a downside. So yeah, gonna post the website down there. You guys go ahead and check it out. Tell me what you think. Participate, get involved, and well, we may just, not to sound melodramatic, but we may just save the internet yet. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. See ya.